TalkNorth.com is powered by Bite Squad. Go to bitesquad.com or download their app. Get food to your door in minutes. Use the promo code TalkNorth to get your first delivery free. Talk North gets you your first delivery free.
You're listening to Steven Strom on TalkNorth.com.
Yes, it is. This is the Strom Sports Show. I'm Steven Strom on the TalkNorth.com podcast network. I think I outdid myself today. I've got Negative Dave coming on in a few minutes here. Marcus Fuller will come and break down the Gopher hoops and their loss against Maryland. We got Matthew Collar. He's been, Matthew Collar making a name for himself out in the Twitter world. I'm seeing him all over on the radio, his articles. He'll come on and he'll jumpstart the offseason with the Minnesota Vikings. We got a fun show ahead for you today, as there's been a lot of drama in the Minnesota world of sports. What else is new? We have Tom Thibodeau, who is out. We'll start with him, and then we'll make our way down. And I told you Negative Dave is up in a few minutes here. We'll see how he does and what he's ranting about. Tom Thibodeau fired. That's the new news. That's what happened a couple days ago. I think it was the right decision. I know it was the right decision to make. This was long overdue, let's be honest here. When he botched this Jimmy Butler situation, we'll examine the Tom Thibodeau era in just a few minutes here. But if you look at the way he handled this Jimmy Butler situation and the way he came in to the franchise and just came in with like, oh, I've done this, I've done that. And I think he really took advantage of the failures of the Wolves organization, because Tom Thibodeau came in and it was like this god that came from Chicago, because obviously the Timberwolves have not had any success. So when Thibodeau came in, he thought he could do no wrong. He brought in the same tactics he brought in from Chicago. He did the same things he did in Chicago with the minutes wise. I mean, in a lot of ways, Tom Thibodeau's way of playing is outdated. It's completely outdated. The way his defense was, the way his offense was. He's very stubborn in the way he plays his players. This was something that had to be done. And to do it after a 20-point win, I think it's hilarious. I think it's just, that's the most Minnesota way to fire a coach. But I think if you really look at that game against LA, the Lakers didn't have LeBron James, and Towns and Wiggins still played 37, 38 minutes. That was the biggest thing about Thibodeau, is that he ran Rose into the ground. He ran Gibson into the ground, and Dang and Noah. Like, he doesn't like playing his bench. And when you have two studs, two stars that you look to lead this franchise to the promised land, Wiggins and Towns, you need to manage their minutes. They're in their young 20s. They're 23, 24 years old. You can't have them playing 40 minutes a game just because of their age. And that's where Tom Thibodeau ran into a lot of issues with Rose, and that's why he rubbed the Bulls organization the wrong way, because he didn't like playing his bench. And to be honest, the Timberwolves have a good bench. Like, Josh Okogie can play, Tyus Jones can play, Anthony Tolliver can play. It's not like it's like some scarce bench. Like, he can play his guys. So that's number one. He had to go because he wasn't managing his stars' minutes correctly. Number two, if you look at his trades, I mean, they're really bad. Like, you look at what he did with the Butler thing. You got rid of Zach LaVine, who looks really good. You got rid of Chris Dunn, who I didn't think was very good, but you're seeing him improve. He found a role in Chicago. And then the Lauri Markkanen thing, that could really end up biting you. Lauri Markkanen, the talented swingman, 7-footer. He's from Slovakia. He went to Arizona. Very good shooter, very good touch, good feel for the game. You gave up Jimmy Butler for 1 year. It's not like I said, if Jimmy Butler was still with the Timberwolves, I wouldn't complain. But now Jimmy Butler, after 1 year, probably not even a full year, was gone. Just like that. So you traded Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and Lauri Markkanen for a season of Jimmy Butler, who ended up losing in 5 games to the Houston Rockets. Oh, let's also remember that he also gave away Nikolai Belija, whatever his name is, to Sacramento because he didn't want to play for the Timberwolves anymore. So let those couple things sink in. Another thing is, the Timberwolves never beat over 500 teams. If you look at their wins last year, they beat up against the weak conference teams, the weak teams in the conference, in the East and West, and they got in. This was a team that actually was in the 3 spot for a while until Jimmy Butler went down. Let's not get crazy here. Tom Thibodeau isn't the reason why the Timberwolves made the playoffs last year. It was Jimmy Butler. Like, I'm the first one to admit, and I couldn't stand Jimmy Butler at the end. But what did Tom Thibodeau do without Butler his first year? There was no changes to me. And the whole big thing was, Thibodeau's going to come in and he's going to make Andrew Wiggins this defensive player of the year, this defensive dog. Like, he's going to be a pit bull on defense. What has changed for Andrew Wiggins? If anything, I feel like it's gotten worse. The guy shows no emotion. He still hasn't really improved on defense. He plays when he wants to play. And there's times where Wiggins looks great. I mean, the Oklahoma City game, you're like, wow, this is what he could be. Not 40 points a game, but this is the aggression that you'd love to see from Wiggins consistently, but you don't see it. And that comes from the coach, right? The coach gets the most out of its players. That's one of the traits that I love. I think coaches that get the most out of their players deserve a lot of praise. I don't think Tom Thibodeau's that guy. He's not a motivator. He's a whiner. Another thing that I noticed with him is the guy has never seen a call he doesn't like. Anytime there's a foul, anytime there's any type of call against the Timberwolves, it's an issue, and it rubs off on the players. I can't tell you enough times where I've seen Karl Towns develop into a baby when it comes to referee calls. Every time there's a call against Karl Towns or he thinks he gets fouled, he stops and he complains. And Tom Thibodeau's doing the same exact thing. What message does that teach your players, especially your young ones? I think overall it was just a bad marriage. I really do. I think it was a combination of bad things. I think it was Tom Thibodeau, who had success in Chicago, thinking he was the almighty, and the Timberwolves being so desperate in such a hole where they didn't know where to go with these two talented players in Wiggins and Towns. And they said, you know what? Bring him in. Whatever. Let's see what happens. You know, he's got a good track record, and I don't think they really did their homework on what Tom Thibodeau was and currently is, because he hasn't changed at all. And I think the Timberwolves failed to address it. They failed to really do their homework on here. They went for the big name guy, and you gave him a lot of responsibilities. He was the head coach, and he was basically the GM. And look where it's gotten you. You lost Levine, you lost Dunn, you lost Markkanen, and you lost Butler, and you lost Bjelica. So those are 4 players right there that Thibodeau lost. And if Butler was here, you could still technically say that he got him for Butler, but Butler was here for a year, and now he's gone. He may have drafted Josh Okogie, which looks like a good pick right now, but for the most part, Tom Thibodeau should have been gone a while ago. I mean, let's be honest here. So that's that. I'm happy he's out. I'm happy for Ryan Saunders. I know Dave has a problem with him. I don't know what his deal is already with Ryan Saunders. Guys coach one game, and Dave has an issue with him. But that's where we start here today. Tom Thibodeau out. I think it's the right decision. We'll keep this thing rolling here. Negative Dave, Marcus Fuller for the Gopher Hoops, and Matthew Collar. Stay with us. As promised, we have Negative Dave on the line, live. We're not going to give his location. I was actually about to give his location, but he is a mysterious one, so we're not going to give that. Dave, how are you today? What's going on?
I'm good. Not too bad, actually. I mean, a lot of things going on in the old Minnesota world here again. Some negativity, I guess, maybe in the basketball world.
Yep.
Some surprise moves. Getting rid of your guy, Thibs.
My
I'm
guy.
Sure you're upset. Yeah, I'm sure you're upset about that. And to see the Vikings finally make a decision after threatening us with Hugh Jackson.
Oh. Where do we want to start today, Dave? Tom Thibodeau, we want to start with the offensive coordinator. What are we doing?
Well, I want to start with this because you were all excited last week when we were together about Gopher basketball.
Crap.
And I was like, yeah, slow down, big fella. And there it is. Now, explain to me as a basketball guy, what did we watch on Tuesday night? I mean, the free throws were like 39%.
Brutal.
That's atrocious.
So I have.
What happens in the second half? Why can't Pitino adjust? Am
All
I
right.
saying that correctly?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that because the first half, I mean, they look really good. I think number one is Jordan Murphy has been. I mean, you look at his past 2 games, 4 points and 7 points. I mean, that's not this is a guy who came in as an all Big Ten conference guy. He needs to play better. Amir Coffey he's their best player by far. So number one, you got to get Jordan Murphy going. I think Pitino's done a poor job of trying to get him going individually. Because he's your guy. Like to me, he's your number one. Coffey's your number two, but you need to get Murphy going. That's number one. Number two, the free throws. I mean, you said it. There's no excuse, especially at home, to shoot that poorly. And they shot themselves in the foot, and eventually Maryland went on their run. Number two is Isaiah Washington. I'm going to have Marcus Fuller of the Star Tribune come on in a few minutes, but like seriously, he's not good. I mean, he's flashy or whatever, but he can't shoot the ball. He's got no feel for the game. He hurts us on defense. What was the common denominator in the Wisconsin game? He didn't play, and they had their best defensive performance of the year, and they won in Madison. I'm not sitting here and telling you to bench him, but, I mean, Dave, this is a guy who is a highly recruited, highly talented guy from my state. New York. I mean, this was a kid that was really good. I don't know what's going on with him. So, Gopher Hoops has a big one on Saturday.
Question on Coffey. Now, I've been watching him kind of closely the last few games. Is he, like, overshooting too much? Because...
Like, you think he's taking too many shots?
What's that?
Do you think he's taking too many shots?
Well, it just seems like, he's kind of their guy. I mean, I know he's going to have to. It just seems like especially the other night, too, it seems like he was throwing up some bad shots, and maybe could have passed it off, but and then Murphy's always in foul trouble.
Oh, Yep. Great point, too. Murphy's got to stay at, and he sometimes gets those dumb fouls, like 50 feet away from the hoop. He's on the other end. Get back on defense. But, I don't know. It's hard for me to rip Coffey because he's been so good lately, but I don't know what the missing piece is. They got a huge one Saturday, and Rutgers just beat Ohio State. So that game this game now Saturday is very important.
I saw that the old Rutgers people, and maybe you were one of them, rushed the floor last night.
No, they didn't. They did not.
Yes, they did.
Oh,
look at the video.
my.
There's like 50 people or so. How sad is it up there? Seriously. What
Dave.
kind of gym is that?
Dave,
My God.
it's so sad. Like seriously, like I live like 30 minutes away from Rutgers. My girlfriend goes there. She dragged me to 2 games this year, Penn State and Michigan for football. They are so bad. Like it's embarrassing. Like to this day, they don't even talk about them in the media. And the basketball team, look, I'll give you the basketball team a little credit. Like, I like the head coach, Steve Pikiel's good. He's kind of turned the program around in a way, like, they're not embarrassing. They're, like, respectable. The RAC, that's where they play, the Rutgers Athletic Center. It's a nice arena, but I can't believe that they just rushed the court. I think they were, like, 16th in the country. Like, you're really going to rush the court?
I'm not lying on this one. I mean, that's all. I mean, that's your neck of the woods. So
it is.
I mean, you might want to take a look at the video. I'm not lying about. I wouldn't make this up.
No, I know you wouldn't.
It's sad.
So,
now, question for you.
Yep.
Did you shed any tears over our guy Thibs leaving? What a loser this guy was.
Oh.
He's walking away with $20 million. What a guy, huh?
Oh, he was.
World.
Dave, he was a con man. Like, when he came to Minnesota, everyone was like, oh, Wiggins, he's going to turn into a defensive pit bull. Like, Thibodeau's going to get these guys hungry. They did the complete opposite. Like, what difference did you see from Tom Thibodeau or from the Wolves now to a couple years ago?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, and like just about anything else in life, they probably just hated being around that clown.
Oh, I know.
mean, can you imagine going into work every day? I mean, it's just like going into your job every day and having a boss you hate. I mean, it's like eventually, it's just got the hatred was deep. And I don't know. What do you think of the Saunders deal? Is it too? I don't know.
You're not a big fan.
Do you think it's a good move? Well, I don't understand. I mean, I think it's another. I mean, I hate to say this, but I kind of think this isn't it a little bit because of his dad? I mean, I know they won the other night, but let's see what happens.
Yeah,
here. I have a funny feeling he's going to be their coach next year.
Well, no, if he gets this team to the playoffs and wins a round, I think he gets the job. But I don't necessarily. I think you got to let the season play out. I mean, the guy's, what is he, 27? Like, it's insane how young he is, and I think the guys relate.
32.
I think the guy, he is.
Even younger.
I think the guy relates better. Like, let me just go back to the Thibodeau thing. I think, Let me Dave, let me talk about Thibodeau real quick. I think it was a recipe for disaster in a way, because you had a franchise in the Timberwolves who, I mean, they still are losers, but they were in a bad place, right? And they kind of got sucked